it be through scouring every nook and cranny to unearth every last bit of content or speculating on a character's motivations or fate, gamers will go to great lengths to know all there is to know about their favourite titles. But as we all know, the best mystery is the one that's left uncracked. I'm Si for WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 biggest unsolved mysteries in video games. Number 10. Tortured radio static, Far Cry 5. Whenever a player is driving around Hope County in Far Cry 5, they will often have the radio on to keep them company. And for the most part, there isn't much too different about this than any other open world game. Classic American rock tunes, incoming radio messages, and sermons from the local cult all help build the world as the player makes their way to whatever destination they're going to. But in certain locations, an altogether different station can be picked up. Players have reported picking up a strange radio station in Far Cry 5 that only plays a static sound. However, listening closely, unnerving noises of people moaning and muffled screaming can be heard, usually accompanied by the word emergency and a flurry of gunshots. And even with the subsequent release of the game's sequel, players still have no idea what this apparent torture session is, where it's coming from, or what its purpose was meant to be. The likeliest explanation is that it would have formed part of a side quest that was eventually scrapped, but until Ubisoft says anything otherwise, Far Cry fans are left speculating. Number 9. Beware the Giant Rat, Blood Rain 2. Video games aren't an exact science, and what you get in a finished product doesn't necessarily tell the full tale of development. Glitches, assets, and messages to other members can be found out of bounds in a lot of games, usually explained away as being part of a cut piece of content or a general part of the development process that someone forgot to take out. However, in the case of Blood Rain 2, there's a particular message left from the developers that gamers are still yet to work out. At the beginning of the level's sewers smuggling route, players are able to look above the first sewage grate once the opening cutscene comes to a close and see a strange message: beware the giant rat. Already eerie enough, players that take this warning literally for the level are in for an unnecessary amount of stress, as there is no giant rat anywhere in the game. So what gives? Fans have speculated for years over what this ominous floating message could mean, with theories ranging from a cut enemy to an inside joke shared between the developers that was accidentally never taken out. Number 8. The Mysterious Stranger, Fallout. Anyone who has played a Fallout title knows about the Mysterious Stranger, an unlockable perk that players can pick up. The Mysterious Stranger will show up every so often in conflict to deliver critical shots and finish off enemies. And up until the release of Fallout 4, that was about that for all we knew about this shady character. But for the 2015 title, Bethesda intentionally worked in some added depth to the man that has left players pondering over the true nature of this assassin. Nick Valentine is an android and private investigator players can have as a companion as they travel across the wastelands. If the Mysterious Stranger shows up whilst Nick is around, the PI will react with great shock and curse how the man was able to slip through their fingers. Nick even has his own case file built against the stranger that players can read in Diamond City, drawing his own theories on who and what his identity may be. Sadly for players, it seems this android is in the dark as much as they are when it comes to any concrete answers. Number 7. Karazhan Crypt, World of Warcraft. Located in Deadwind Pass, the Karazhan Crypt is a sealed off part of World of Warcraft that has become infamous within the community. It's only accessible by glitching through the walls or portcullis that guards its entry, and houses an array of horrors that certainly feel out of place for WoW. From the remnants of hundreds of skeletons stuffed in a pile to corpses dangling upside down under the water, this location takes an even creepier tone when players take into account that almost everything to do with it remains a mystery. The rumour mill seems to have pinned down 3 possible explanations for the crypt's existence. The first is that it was nothing more than a developer's playroom that has been left in. The second is that it was intended to be part of the Karazhan raid but never made the final cut. And the final and most interesting being that it had been the start of its very own raid that was eventually cut for being too horrifying. The true answers may never be known, but it is fascinating to think about the different paths Blizzard could have taken and still perhaps could on the back of a strange location like this. Number 6. The Ammo Box, Perfect Dark. Rare are developers that are known for littering their games with quirky items designed to get the community talking. Most of the time, players are content disregarding them as being one of those rare things, but in the case of Perfect Dark, the curiosity behind one item in particular has refused to evaporate in the years since. In the sewers level of the combat simulator, there's a particular ammo box under the floor with 2 tunnels branching off of it. It looks like a serious item, with plenty of players back in the day speculating as to whether this could have held a cheat for unlimited ammo or perhaps even a secret weapon of some sort. But in reality, this isn't a real ammo box, as it doesn't move in the same way when it's shot at. There's also no way of reaching it, with both the tunnels to it going nowhere. The fact that the game's strategy guide highlights the box with a pretty suspicious quip makes most assume that this is indeed one of those rare things. Whether or not they take this at face value is up to the player though, as no one has ever been able to definitively prove what the purpose of this one box is. Number 5. Shadow Figures Super Mario Galaxy 2. A few forays into King Boo's haunted houses aside, the Mario series isn't exactly known for delivering chills, which makes the unsolved mystery behind the shadow figures in Super Mario Galaxy 2 all the more eerie. Playing through the Shiverburn Galaxy, players may begin to notice some strange figures peering over the horizon and following them as they progress. Mere shadowy outlines, it's an admittedly creepy sight, and one that still doesn't have a concrete explanation to this day. A deep dive into the game's internal code revealed that the figures have the name Hell Valley Sky Tree, but one look at their huge eye sockets will tell any player that those trees, well, they're not trees. The only other breakthrough we have for these mysterious figures is the codename of the level they belong to, Beyond Hell Valley. Quite why Mario Galaxy 2 was apparently going to house such a spooky level, how these figures would have been presented in it, and why this was all supposedly scrapped remains unknown. Number 4. The Queen, Alien Isolation. The lore behind the Alien franchise has always been quite specific when it comes to xenomorphs. Where there are eggs, there is usually a queen. The space station that Amanda Ripley and players attempt to navigate in Alien Isolation is home to plenty of eggs, so it's only logical there should be a queen somewhere laying them, right? The developers certainly wanted players to think so, adding to the tension of what is already a terrifying game of cat and mouse against a grown xenomorph. The noise of the queen can in fact be heard in various parts of the Sevastopol station, and Creative Assembly later confirmed that she is actually on board the entire playthrough. The cut, boss fight, and urge not to confine such an iconic sci-fi villain to a mere cameo role perhaps best explains why players don't ever see the Queen, but the question of where exactly she's supposed to be stowing away remains an interesting, albeit slightly terrifying, mystery. Number 3. The Strange Man, Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 provided one of the most expansive open worlds gamers had ever seen, housing countless secrets, Easter eggs, and mysteries that have been explained and explored in the years since its release. However, one mystery that has continued to evade even the most dedicated investigator is the identity of the Strange Man. Players will encounter the Strange Man 3 times over the course of a playthrough. Each time they meet him, the man is purposefully vague and very particular with his words, delivering them with a methodical coolness that suggests there is far more going on than what he is sharing. A particularly chilling moment comes during the pair's final interaction, where the man remarks that the place they are standing is a fine spot. Spoiler warning, but later on in the game, that very spot is where a particularly prominent character is buried. Speculation has been rife over the identity of the Strange Man. Theories vary from him being the devil, Cain from the Bible, Death himself, or even John Marston's conscience catching up to him. Regardless, it is one of the most memorable and still unsolved mysteries from the Red Dead world. Number 2. Letter from a Friend, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. As the Dragonborn and de facto most powerful individual in the world, it's safe to assume players will attract their fair share of both friends and foes in the lands of Skyrim. Over the course of a playthrough, players will receive letters from a friend claiming that they have been watching their skills develop and pointing them in the direction of a word wall. The first instance of the Dragonborn receiving these letters comes from Delphine after picking up the horn of Jurgen Windcaller, but will continue being sent wherever they use their shout. The idea of someone wanting to guide the Dragonborn on their journey to saving the world is not a hard thing to imagine, but the mystery, the all-seeing observer behind these letters, remains unsolved to this day. Theories on the identity of this friend range wildly. Seriously, pick any NPC from Skyrim and you can probably make a case if you try hard enough. The truth is probably none of them, and it's something as boring as a way for Bethesda to keep giving players something to do, but whilst we don't have any clarification that this is the case, theories can continue to roll in. Number 1. The Huddle Inside. Major spoilers for this one follow, but every so often a title comes along and manages to dismantle the rulebook for what a video game is meant to be. Step forward, play Dead's Inside. Inside is a game whose horrors come from the fact that almost all of it is still a complete mystery. Nothing is told to players, and the developers have kept their lips sealed in the years since the game's launch. And of course, that's Playdead's entire point in making the game. We aren't supposed to get any answers. That doesn't mean that it isn't fun to try and work out some of the mysteries Playdead might have left just enough behind to uncover, specifically around the Huddle. A grotesque mass of conjoined human bodies, one theory around the identity and purpose of the Huddle is that it is using the boy as a means of freeing itself. Control and freedom are two of the biggest themes present across the game, so it would make sense that the Huddle somehow has a telepathic link that is able to pull the boy like a puppet. Although if players find the game game's hidden ending, the Huddle's plan of being freed is completely skipped over, which seems an unlikely occurrence if it was the thing in control. What the Huddle is, what its goals are, and who is helping it all remain a mystery. And you know what? That just makes the whole thing creepier. Have you ever played any video games that were too scary to finish? We certainly have, and we've listed them right here. You can click on this video now to stay with us here at WhatCulture Gaming. Otherwise, don't forget to leave a comment down below on your favourite unsolved video game mysteries. Like this video, hit subscribe, head over to whatculture.com for more content every day. You can follow me on Twitter at Syniac_123. I've been Cy for WhatCulture, and have a good week.